Tell Me About It is brought to you by Don Franklin Auto of Glasgow and Extreme Health Club.
Trevent Hayes, KY Sports TV here with James Brown, 104 The Score. We are on Glasgow Electric Plant Board Channel 6, the local channel. Tell Me About It is the name of our show. And I'm sure you're going to tell me about it today.
Well, I'm going to tell you about some things. You're going to tell me about some things.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do to tell people about it. Start with, we're going to break down this Hart County Glasgow game.
We can do it.
Because you were an assistant at Hart last year.
I was.
Basically the same players back from last year, which
Yes.
was the best season in the history of Hart County football.
Yes.
And they're off to a rocking start so far.
Mm-hmm.
They've not lost a game. And Glasgow stumbled against Franklin Simpson and lost 27-14 before everybody took a couple of weeks off. Really, I guess everybody took a week off. They didn't play last Friday, and a lot of people went on vacation. The football programs, let the players just go do whatever they were going to do. And I can't really think of the last time that we really had nobody playing on that Friday night.
Nobody in the area.
Yeah, I mean the only game there were no games really in the area whatsoever. So, but anyway, so Glasgow stumbled against Franklin Simpson. Hart won this game last year over at Hart, 38-30. And I guess I really thought, and we talked about this before you even took the Caverna job. We were talking about this.
Right.
I said this Glasgow team would be better than the one they had last year, and I think it is. But I also think they've not really played a game yet to their full actual potential. Every game it looks like either they've had penalties that have kind of caused them some problems. Turnovers, miscues on offense, missed passes or drop passes, that kind of thing. I will say the offensive line has played as well as I thought they would so far this season, and the defensive front has played as well as I thought they would. But that kind of leaves me in a position where I think Glasgow is probably the better team, talent-wise, just raw talent across the board.
I have to disagree with you there.
All right, but
and this is not coming from a co-host standpoint. It's coming from a coach's standpoint.
Yeah.
From playing.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is Hart County has 6. Let me see. Anthony Lawless, Jordan Bradley, Joshua Dan Crump. He killed me because I don't. Number 7, I just can't think.
You've missed Jackson's shoulder. So
no,
far.
I haven't missed Jackson yet.
Okay.
I haven't missed Jackson yet.
Okay.
Jackson. Hunter Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
But the best running back they have is Clark Rexroth.
Yeah.
And he's the most elusive player in this area. I can't say that I think Tyson Martin is the best running back in the area, but I think that Clark is the most elusive and explosive player in the area. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be really, really hard for Cam. Cam is number 6.
Mm-hmm.
They've got 6 different guys that can give you 100 yards every night.
Yeah.
And it's hard to stop that. And I know that we're not the caliber of program that Glasgow is. We don't have the numbers. We don't have the athletes. But it's hard to tackle those guys for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I think I've seen Hart County in the scrimmage and then when they played you guys. Mm-hmm. Now, the scrimmage was against Barron. There were some stipulations on the scrimmage that probably limited both teams.
You couldn't sack the quarterback,
Yeah.
and you couldn't tackle the quarterback. And, everybody thinks that, Hart County losing their quarterback last year hurt them. Jacob Shoulders he's an athlete.
Yeah.
And he makes good reads. And, Hart County, they don't throw it because they don't have to.
Yeah, and so that's probably one of the things. Like, if even just seeing the scrimmage and seeing Hart play you guys, I still think Glasgow's probably better in the trenches with the whole offensive line coming back.
I don't know, man. Hart County's whole offensive line came back.
Yeah.
With the exception of Ethan Roten, but they had a kid that stepped right in. I'm telling you, it's just different. I don't think it'll be within 2 touchdowns.
Meaning you think Hart will win by 2 touchdowns?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I can see where they could win by 2 touchdowns, but I think Glasgow will have to help them a lot for them to get there. Here's the other thing. Here's another thing that I think comes off of Glasgow's loss to Franklin Simpson. I think there's been a certain level of, it's not like they're not focused on the game plan or whatever but within the game, I've seen a lack of focus at times for some of Glasgow's players. And that's where some of these miscues and stuff come from. It's, running before you catch the ball and just little things that are like in the moment you don't really think about.
But you can't make those mistakes against Hart County.
You can't. But losing that game to Franklin Simpson means when they go back and watch that film, now Coach Garman and his staff can say to them, look, this is what we've been telling you.
Right.
So now you've got a different, perhaps, mindset Glasgow team coming into this game versus coming into the Franklin Simpson game.
And I'm not going to discount Glasgow's good.
Yeah.
And I think Glasgow should have beat Franklin Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
I really do.
I think they were the better team. They just made the mistakes.
But like I told you at the beginning of the season, I just felt that Hart County was the best team in the district.
Yeah.
I just do. And defensively, they're going to hit you.
Yeah.
They're going to hit you. And it's just, and again, it's just numbers game. They can take 5 out and put 5 in. That's just as good as the 5 was that they took out. And it's just hard to beat a team like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no doubt this is the best team Hart County's ever had.
Yes. And they're going to come into the game expecting to win. Turnovers, I think the biggest part of the game is going to be turnovers. I think turnovers is what killed Glasgow against Franklin Simpson.
Yeah.
Drop passes, fumble, and Franklin Simpson capitalized on those. I just don't, Hart County they don't make those mistakes Friday after Friday. And, Glasgow has a lot of drop passes.
They do. And that goes back to that focus thing that I was talking about, that when you keep winning games or escaping a win against your rival, those mistakes don't come back to haunt you. And it's a lot harder to fix them. This as a coach.
Yes.
If you win a game that you shouldn't win because you made all the mistakes in the world, then the players, it's even less likely the players are going to listen to you because now they have that mindset. They think,
well, it don't matter because we're going to win anyway.
Yeah, they have that mindset like, well, I know what I'm doing.
I think the biggest part of the reason Glasgow won't win is they don't. I've watched film on Glasgow 3 different games. But we talk. We coaches talk. The players talk to other players. But talked to a guy this morning, and we were talking about the Hart County Glasgow game, and the thing that's missing from this Glasgow team this year, they don't have that leader that's a dog, a vocal leader.
Yeah.
In the past, a couple of drop passes, Hunter Scott's going to grab somebody up. Hey, you can't do this.
Yeah.
Dalvin was going to get, if you don't, and that's the problem with us. I don't have a vocal leader.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, coaches can't be on the field. Garmin has a great staff, but you can only coach them from the sideline.
Right.
You can't be on the field with them. You've got to have a leader out there on the field that can kind of shape everybody back up.
Yeah, and that is since the class that graduated with John Carter Myers and those guys, they haven't really had that person that stepped up.
And
yet.
I watched those last, I didn't coach at all for a stint, so I got to go to watch these different people.
Yeah.
And, John Carter Myers, back at safety and corner, wherever they put him on defense, he was facilitating the game. You don't really see that with this team.
Well, I'm curious to see what kind of message the players received over these 2 weeks since that game with Franklin Simpson.
Yeah.
And it is to me the kind of game that if the players are going to make that turn on the corner and become the team that they could be, that's the kind of game that allows the coaching staff and maybe some of the other players to really step up in that moment. And then that's why I think we're going to see a different Glasgow team. If we don't see a different Glasgow team, then they won't win the game. Because I think Hart County they played Greene County, which is obviously a very good team. They beat Elizabethtown. Elizabethtown's not the team it's been.
But it's still Elizabethtown.
Yeah, I mean, if for Hart County mentally, it's a team they probably...
All the things that have to line up for Hart County to win the district, and to go deep, those things are lining up.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and on the flip, let's talk real quick about that before we talk about your game here and then the Barron Warren Central game. I was looking at the district matchups for after the first round, and Glasgow's district's matched up with the one where Union County's already got it locked up. Mm-hmm. The rest of that district is absolutely beatable. So it's kind of important who is the 1 seed in this district because they have probably the clearer path than the 2-3 because the 2-3 is going to turn around and play each other in week 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah.
More than likely. So, that's...
and that's what they did. They went back to the old format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here.
Okay.
We'll come back and we'll talk about your game against Russellville and the Barron County Warren Central game. This is James Brown and Trevent Hayes here on Tell Me About It, Glasgow EPB Channel 6, a local channel. We'll be right back.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
We're back. Tell Me About It. James Brown, Trevent Hayes. We're now going to talk about the other. It's a district matchup too. Right? No, they're not.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they are in the district with them now.
Barron County and Warren Central are in the district because Warren Central, I think, maybe would have been at the bottom of 5A, which would have put them in that Bowling Green, Greenwood, South Warren district.
Yes.
But they asked to play up to 6A, and they actually may technically still be a 4A school by the count. But and we won't get into the technicalities of how these two seasons are put together by the KHSA because of the numbers were askew from the COVID years in terms of student population, in terms of making the classifications, all that. So they just did a 2-year plan. Warren Central's in the district with Barron. Barron's also technically a 5A school playing in a 6A district. And then the other 2 schools in the district are North Hardin and Central Hardin. So for these next 2 years, Barron and Warren Central this season, next season are in the same district. And this game is Friday night at Warren Central. And, I'm kind of curious. Barron's kind of in a similar position as we were talking about Glasgow in the prior segment. They've had a couple of rough games in a row, and it's curious to see what this time off does for them, what Coach Muse and his guys come up with for the game plan against Warren Central, because I actually think Barron should win this game.
Right.
But, sometimes you get at this point in the season, and it's now, can you keep your players motivated because you've had a couple of bad weeks? And that kind of thing. And so that's kind of where Coach Muse and his folks are. I do think guys like Tate Spillman and Clemens and those guys, Waylon Clemens, Austin Sewell, Jackson Bird, I do think those dudes are pretty competitive dudes. And so he may not have to motivate those guys a whole lot at all. And, I'm not sure. I look back at Warren Central last year. They broke their long losing streak. I'm not sure how, if people realized how big Omari Glover was to the football program, just like he was to the basketball program.
I'm telling you, I think he should have went to college to play football.
He could pick a sport. He's that kind of athlete, and you're right. I mean, football, he was outstanding at football. And, I'm guessing he loved basketball and his whole family loves basketball and he just played football. But you can see what kind of impact he had. Now, if you look at this team this year, they're better than they were before. They were doing that losing streak. Coach Nelson and all, they're a better program. But that's how good Omari Glover was just as a football player.
Right.
Is they don't have that this year. And so they're kind of, I'm not sure they even have an identity. They don't run the ball particularly well. They don't throw the ball particularly well. They play defense okay. They probably play defense better than they do anything else right now. But Barron, the things that I think Warren Central wants to try to do, those are the things Barron actually is pretty good against on the defensive side. And Tate Spillman is an X factor when it comes to playing quarterback. So I think it's an interesting matchup.
To be honest, I'm not. I know some of the kids at Barron. Warren Central, I'm just not familiar. I know we played them in 7-on-7, and we were very successful.
They didn't look good on the 7-on-7.
They did not. And again, we played the 7-on-7 without Jalen Crane. I had a lot of kids that weren't there.
Yeah, Desmond Rowlett wasn't playing.
Desmond Rowlett wasn't there. And like I said, we scored several times and we prevented them from scoring. So
yeah,
I just don't think they'll be able to compete with Barron County. I watched the Barron Glasgow game. Spillman is a really good player. If he was a little bigger, he'd be more dangerous.
Oh yeah.
I just don't think. I think Barron will win by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Well,
and that's being easy. That's being easy on the prediction there. It could get worse than that.
Yeah, I guess Barron's not a program that generally blows people out.
Yeah.
They win games, but they generally don't just run you off the field or that kind of thing. So that's why I'm hesitant to say what level of victory it would be. But I do think they are better.
But you're at it's the point of the season now to where you just have to let the kids play.
Yeah.
And you want that momentum going into the next game. If you've got a win, it's time. It's the time of the season now to where you have to put your foot on people's throats if you have them down, because you want to carry that over to the next week. So I think if Barron gets up, I think it could get ugly.
Now, the Trojans are in a good position if they win this game because they still have a game left with Central Hardin. And Central Hardin was the favorite in the district coming into the season, but as I mentioned, I didn't mention this, but North and Central were one of the games played during the fall break, and North Hardin beat them. And so that means now Barron has never beaten North Hardin.
Right.
They've beaten Central Hardin 2 or 3 times.
They beat them a couple of years ago, and it was a really big upset, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've beaten them twice since they've been in the same district with them.
Okay.
And so that means Barron, they get, as to your point, Barron gets through this game and they get that win against Warren Central. Now they're in a position where they're playing Central Hardin with a chance to host a first-round football game.
Right.
Now, their district matchup is against Meade, PRP, I think St. X, and I don't remember the other one in that district for the first round of the playoffs.
Because Ballard and Trinity are in the same district, right?
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
And I think that's District 3.
Is Manual in there with those guys?
That's it. DuPont Manual's in that district.
That's it.
So that's a pretty good district.
And DuPont Manual just beat St. X.
Yeah. And
on what may be the most controversial finish of the year, but I watched it. It was a touchdown.
Well, now you mean the touchdown at the end?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was a clear touchdown. I think it was the play before that people were
questioning.
Yeah, there was a penalty or something of that nature, I believe. But yeah, that was a big win. PRP is good again this year, of course, and then like I said, St. X is in there, and so in Meade County, this would have if Meade had stayed in this district with Barron and Central,
they'd probably be the favorite.
Yeah, they would,
yeah.
And they may finish third in that district or fourth. So. That's kind of a wild scenario. I guess we're going to take another quick break right here, and when we come back, we'll talk about your game against Russellville, because I've made a prediction on my show with John Butler on Monday, and I'm curious to see what you think about it.
Okay.
All right. This is Tell Me About It with James Brown and Trevent Hayes here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6 local channel. We'll be right back.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Welcome back to Tell Me About It. I'm James Brown here with Trevent Hayes on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can catch this show live every Thursday at 6 p.m. on that channel, or you can catch it anytime on the Glasgow EPB YouTube channel, 104thescore.com, kysports.tv. So you guys have a game against Russellville on Friday night.
Yes.
And Monday on the Brown Sports Bag with John Butler, I told John this might be the biggest game in the history of Caverna football. 11-man football. Now, 8-man football, if you go back in time, when you had the early 60s with the Doyles and all that jazz, they were state contenders.
We don't call that, I don't recognize that as football.
Me neither.
I don't.
So what's
my brother, in the 2000s, my brother, they played 8-man football.
Yeah, they did it from like 97 to 2002 or something like that before they came back to 11-man.
I tell him I can't recognize any records, any wins, because it's not football.
No. So that was my preface. In 11-man football, it might be the biggest game in Caverna history, football history, because of a couple of reasons. Mm-hmm. One is it keeps you guys on a path to finish the season with a winning record. Mm-hmm. And the other is it all but secures you'll have a first-round playoff game at home and be the number one seed in the district. You still have a game left with Ballard Memorial, but if you can beat Russellville beat Ballard 38-0. Mm-hmm. And so that sets you up for a couple of things that in Caverna football history doesn't happen very often.
And Caverna's never beat Russellville.
Really?
Never.
That part I did not know.
The Caverna's never beat Russellville.
So it's epic on 3 levels then.
It is. And it is, I'm really excited for the game. I talk about all the good things that I were able to accomplish, but I was on the losing end of a 82-14 thrashing from Russellville.
This is when you were in high school?
They went undefeated. They came to Caverna, and they brought like 6 buses. And they literally had 2 buses of players.
Yeah.
And they had Onassa Duncan and Andre Morris, and they absolutely beat us to death. And we could never get that back, And I was telling our kids in practice this week, their record does not speak for the team that they are.
Yeah.
They're 1-6. Mm-hmm. But they've played Logan County, Franklin Simpson, Glasgow. They played some really good teams.
Yeah. That
are 2A, 3A, 4A. I think Logan County's 5A. Logan County's 4A.
Yeah. So they, despite the fact that they've been down the last couple of seasons, they did not soften their schedule.
No.
They kept that same strong schedule against their traditional rivals.
And I respect that because I'm not a fan of driving 7 hours to get a win.
Yeah.
Against somebody that you're going to beat. Mm-hmm. That does nothing for your program.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. And we've not had honestly, we've not had a soft schedule.
No, it works out. I mean, because Eminence is a good team, even though they were winless last year. They were good the year before
ranked
that.
number 9 in the state right
They're
now.
good. Hart County's good.
Hart County's good. Muhlenberg County is not terrible.
Yeah.
They're 5A. I really feel like we shouldn't have lost to Eminence.
Mm-hmm.
We had them on the ropes, but 2 injuries depletes our program.
Yeah.
And I really don't feel like we should have lost to Edmondson, but I had 5 starters out.
Yeah.
So I think we're starting to see our true identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I told the kids before the season started, I'm only concerned with the games that matter, which is our district games.
Yeah.
I said, we can grow the first part of the season, but when we get to the district, I think we should know who we are and be able to compete for a district championship.
So I didn't overplay that then, huh?
You did not. You did not.
John Butler, he said, really? I said, yeah.
No, you didn't overplay it.
But how, I mean, it's that important to the program.
The kids also know.
But how does that affect them?
They want to be a part of history. Mm-hmm. And I hear so many people tell me you can't take success from a middle school program to the high school level. I disagree with that because those kids, this group of sophomores, learned how to win, and they tasted success. They enjoyed success. And so now we're in a position to where it's going to be, winning a district title is bigger than winning a region in middle school because you only play 2 games. And they want that success. And the biggest thing, James, is that we've had to teach these kids how to win.
Yeah. I would say this about transitioning middle school to high school is that what happens is you can get away with things at the middle school level physically and probably scheme-wise that you can't get away with at high school.
You can't do it.
So the players have to also grow. They can't rest on the laurels of what they accomplished whenever they were 12 years old. They have to also be willing to grow intellectually about the game and also work on their bodies and their skills, because you as you graduate up to that next level, the things you could get away with, you can't get away with.
You can't do it anymore.
And so that is the part that is things different. And I think a lot of times people see a kid or do something in middle school, and they're like, oh, they're going to be great.
And then you never hear anything else about them.
Yeah, because, they peaked right then. Physically, that was as big as they ever got or as fast as they ever got, and everybody else outgrew them.
Yep.
And so, that doesn't mean they can't still play. It just means
everybody else caught up to them.
Yeah, and you can't rest on that, which is why people often say that kind of stuff, because it's not untrue, but it does mean those kids, as you're talking about, those players have to take responsibility for getting better themselves.
Right.
And I do think, as I've watched your guys, especially this year, I think a lot of them have done that. They've like, oh, okay, this is a lot harder. I gotta work a lot harder.
Another thing that I was telling a guy this morning, another coach, we've done everything the right way. A lot of the things that they did in the past, they haven't done those things because we've instilled discipline in them. Mm-hmm. And you have, and I speak of Hart County and their weapons. I can't show that against a Hart County. Because they're superior to us, and they're superior to us because of the numbers.
Yeah,
that's the only difference. Talent wise, I think we have just as many skilled players as they've got. But we've got, everybody talks about Tyson Martin, in which they should. I think he's the best running back in the area. Mm-hmm. But we also have L.D. Wagner, who at any minute can break up 40, 50, 60-yard run, and now we've. Kenyon Martin, Tyson's twin, can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And we found a gem in Des Rowlett.
Yeah.
I mean, so we've got a lot of kids that can play. I think defensively is what's going to be the key for us Friday night. Cortavion Maxey is one of the better cover corners that we have. Mm-hmm. He's just not physical, but actually this week in practice, I told him you had more tackles in practice this week than you've had all year. So he's fine. It's clicking for him. So I mean, I told you a couple of weeks ago, you know, the newspapers down there, and those guys are already talking about Russellville being winless until the district and then being 4-0 and winning the district. And I think that we're gonna make them rethink that. I really do. Because I just don't think anybody's given us a chance.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really thought that we would be competitive in that district as far as winning it. Everybody had us pegged at number 2 because Fulton County and Ballard were so down. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anybody gave us a chance to win that district. And I'm anxious to see Friday night. Well,
on the 104thescore.com poll that I have up, I think it's a 70-30 advantage for Caverna right now.
Well, thank you, voters. They're probably all from Caverna.
Might be. I figured it was just you over and over and over on different devices.
I've never voted on any of those polls. Even when we've had kids for Player of the Week, I've never got on there and voted. I see them, and I think it's cool to watch them and see what people think. But I hope that's the outcome.
All right. Well, we've been here on Tell Me About It, presented by 104thescore.com and kysports.tv. I'm James Brown. This is Trevent Hayes. We'll see you again next week.